Imagine you're hiking through unfamiliar terrain when suddenly a sharp pain shoots through your foot. What's your first instinct? To curse the pain, to wish it away, to see it as an unwelcome interruption to your journey. But what if that pain is actually saving your life? What if that pain is alerting you to a serious injury that, if ignored, could lead to infection or permanent damage? What if that pain is not your enemy, but your guide? Now consider this. What if the emotional pain you've been desperately trying to escape is serving the exact same function? What if your suffering isn't a glitch in the system, but the system itself working perfectly to show you what requires your attention? We live in a culture obsessed with pain avoidance. We've built entire industries around eliminating discomfort, from pharmaceutical companies to social media algorithms that shield us from challenging ideas. We've created a world where the highest virtue is feeling good, and the greatest sin is causing discomfort. But what if this fundamental assumption, that pain is bad and pleasure is good, is not just incorrect but actively harmful to our growth and fulfillment? Today, I want to challenge everything you think you know about pain. I want to offer you a radical reframing. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the map. And those who learn to read this map gain access to levels of resilience, wisdom, and authentic happiness that remain forever closed to those who spend their lives running from discomfort. Let's begin with a simple truth that ancient wisdom traditions have recognized for millennia, but modern comfort-seeking culture has forgotten. Pain is information. It's the body and mind's sophisticated alert system, designed to command your attention when something needs it. Physical pain tells you where you're injured. Emotional pain reveals where you're wounded. Intellectual pain, confusion, uncertainty, shows you where your understanding is incomplete. In every case, pain is pointing to something that matters. Consider the medical condition CIPA, congenital insensitivity to pain with anhidrosis, a rare disorder where people cannot feel physical pain. While this might sound like a superpower, it's actually a devastating condition. Children with CIPA often die young because they don't know when they're injured. They can break bones, develop infections, or suffer severe burns without realizing. Their inability to feel pain doesn't make them invincible. It makes them vulnerable. Many of us have developed a psychological version of CIPA. We've become so adept at numbing our emotional pain through distraction, substance use, workaholism, or endless entertainment that we've lost the ability to receive the crucial information that pain provides. We mistake pain avoidance for health when, in reality, it's making us dangerously disconnected from ourselves. The 13th century Persian poet Rumi understood this when he wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Modern psychology has only recently caught up to this ancient wisdom. We now understand that post-traumatic growth, the positive, psychological changes that can occur after struggle with highly challenging life circumstances, is not just possible, but common. Studies show that between 50–60% of trauma survivors report some form of positive transformation emerging from their suffering. Think about that. More than half of people who endure traumatic experiences eventually find that their pain led to profound positive changes in their lives. Not despite the pain, but because of it. The pain became their map to a deeper, more meaningful existence. Consider Viktor Frankl, who endured the unimaginable suffering of Nazi concentration camps. From this crucible of pain, he developed logotherapy, an approach to psychotherapy based on the belief that humans are primarily motivated by a search for meaning. His famous quote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves," emerged not from theoretical musing, but from the depths of suffering most of us can hardly imagine. Or take Stephen Hawking, whose degenerative disease caused immense physical pain and limitation. He once said, "Without imperfection, neither you nor I would exist." His physical suffering didn't prevent his intellectual contributions. In many ways, it shaped them. The map of his pain led him to profound insights about the universe. The examples are endless, Frida Kahlo channeled her physical pain into revolutionary art. Nelson Mandela transformed the pain of imprisonment into a capacity for forgiveness that changed a nation. Maya Angelou alchemized childhood trauma into literature that has touched billions. What these remarkable humans understood is that pain isn't something to merely endure until it passes. It's something to integrate, to learn from, to use as a compass pointing toward growth. Neuroscience now confirms what these wisdom traditions and exemplary lives have shown us. We now know that the neural pathways for physical and emotional pain overlap significantly. This is why emotional pain feels so real, so physical, because to your brain, it is. The phrase heartbreak isn't just a metaphor. The pain of rejection or loss activates many of the same brain regions as physical pain. This insight transforms how we should approach emotional suffering. Just as you wouldn't ignore a broken bone, you shouldn't ignore emotional wounds. Both are valid forms of pain, signaling that something needs attention and care. But here's where our cultural approach fails us. We've been taught that the goal is to make pain go away as quickly as possible, rather than understanding what it's trying to tell us. We reach for the emotional equivalent of painkillers: distraction, denial, displacement, rather than allowing the pain to become our teacher. Think about a time when you were heartbroken. Perhaps you lost someone you loved, either through death or separation. The cultural prescription for this pain is usually some version of move on, distract yourself, date someone new, stay busy. The implicit message is clear. This pain has no value. The sooner you stop feeling it, the better. But what if the pain of heartbreak is actually rich with information? What if it's showing you the depth of your capacity for love, revealing what you truly value in relationship, highlighting unhealed wounds from your past that affected this connection? What if rushing past this pain means missing its essential teachings? The same applies to failure, rejection, or disappointment. These painful experiences are not random cruelties of an indifferent universe. They are precise feedback about your approach, your expectations, your skills, or your choices. They are the map showing you where adjustment is needed. The Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece understood this well. Epictetus taught that difficulties in life actually show us who we are. Circumstances don't make the man, he said. They only reveal him to himself. This revelation, painful though it may be, is invaluable. Without it, we remain strangers to ourselves. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's intensely practical. When you begin to view pain as information rather than punishment, your relationship to life's inevitable difficulties transforms. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" The first question leads to victimhood. The second leads to growth. Consider the physical pain of exercise. Anyone who has transformed their physical health knows that the discomfort of training is not something to be avoided. It's precisely the point. The micro-trauma of challenging your muscles is what stimulates growth. As the saying goes, no pain, no gain. This isn't masochism, it's strategy. The pain is the map to physical development. The same principle applies to every domain of growth. Cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that comes from holding conflicting beliefs, isn't something to fear. It's the essential precursor to intellectual development. The confusion and frustration of learning something new aren't obstacles to mastery. They're the path to it. Let me be clear. I'm not suggesting you seek out suffering or glorify pain for its own sake. I'm suggesting something far more nuanced. That the pain you already experience, the pain that is an inevitable part of being human, contains within it the seeds of your evolution, if only you'll stop running long enough to read the map it provides. This approach requires a fundamental shift. We must move from pain avoidance to pain intelligence. Pain intelligence means developing the capacity to acknowledge pain without being consumed by it. Discern what the pain is communicating. Respond to that information with wisdom rather than reaction. Integrate the lessons of pain into your ongoing development. This isn't easy. Our instinct to avoid pain is deeply wired, and for good reason. Pain hurts. But what if that hurt is not the enemy? What if it's the price of admission to a more authentic, more resilient, more deeply meaningful life? The psychiatric researcher, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, in his groundbreaking work on trauma, The Body Keeps the Score, writes, "Being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. But how do we develop this capacity for safety, especially when past experiences have taught us that people or situations are dangerous? By learning to work with our pain rather than against it, by reading the map it provides. Your pain points, precisely to where healing is needed. The anxiety you feel in certain social situations isn't random. It's information about unresolved experiences or beliefs that require attention. The anger that flares when specific boundaries are crossed isn't a character flaw. It's intelligence about what matters to you. The grief that surfaces years after a loss isn't weakness. It's without new insight, is unproductive. Fourth, develop a relationship with your pain based on respect rather than fear. This doesn't mean you enjoy suffering, but you recognize its value and approach it with curiosity rather than avoidance. Just as you might not enjoy a challenging conversation with someone you respect, but you engage in it anyway, because you value the relationship and the potential growth it offers. Fifth, build a support system that honors the wisdom of pain rather than rushing to help you escape it. Surround yourself with people who ask, "What are you learning?" rather than simply, "How can I make you feel better?" True support isn't about shielding you from discomfort. It's about accompanying you through it so you can extract its lessons. Finally, practice viewing your life story through the lens of pain as a map rather than an obstacle. Look back at your most difficult experiences and ask, where did this pain lead me? What strengths did it develop? What insights did it provide? What doors did it close that needed closing? What doors did it open that I might not have found otherwise? This practice often reveals that our most painful experiences have been our most powerful teachers. The rejection that felt devastating led to a far better opportunity. The relationship that ended painfully taught you what you truly need in partnership. The failure that seemed catastrophic developed resilience you now rely on daily. As the Japanese art of kintsugi shows us, the places where we've been broken and repaired can become the strongest and most beautiful parts of us if we use the pain as a map, rather than seeing it as a defect to be hidden. I want to leave you with this thought. Right now, there is likely some pain you're working hard to avoid. Maybe it's the discomfort of a difficult conversation you need to have. Maybe it's the fear of pursuing a dream that matters deeply to you. Maybe it's grief that remains unprocessed, or anger that feels too dangerous to acknowledge, or confusion about your path forward that you're trying to ignore. What if, instead of continuing to run from this pain, you turned toward it with curiosity? What if you asked it, "What are you trying to show me? Where are you trying to lead me?" What if you began to see this pain not as your enemy, but as your map? Your pain is not random. It is not meaningless. It is not punishment. It is precise, intelligent guidance about what needs your attention. It is the pressure that can crush you or transform you into something stronger and more beautiful than you were before. The choice is not whether you will experience pain. That's guaranteed by the simple fact of being alive. The choice is whether you will use it as your map or spend your life running from one of your greatest teachers. Pain is not the enemy. It never was. It's the map to becoming who you're capable of being, to creating what you're capable of creating, to loving as deeply as you're capable of loving. The question is, will you have the courage to follow where it leads?